Hello and welcome to another episode of the Panorama series, and this time I want to share some ideas how to patch maybe an image into a panorama that wasn't stitched by the application. And of course I have to simulate this here, and I have done this just with 3 images. So we have here this as an end result, and I simulate now here the problem that we miss exactly this middle part here. And normally we can say when we have a row of images that each of these images are pretty much in the same way distorted. This hasn't happened here. And that is maybe the next little problem that we have to face here. But anyway, I thought that's maybe a nice idea to dive into this so you can produce your own little trouble, make a full 360, compare the shapes of each of these images, and then just switch one off. And I have done this here, and to have something here where I can't just go between or so, I have merged this here. Okay, so then I have to go here to the normal picture, the one that I have captured with the camera. This is just out of RAW, and Command A, Command C to copy that, and then I can bring this in. So this looks now completely different than anything else here in the scene. And the idea is of course now how to get this image now exactly into this area here. We maybe need only an area here, but of course I have chosen this area not because it's pretty simple to do this on a blue sky, because it's the typical way where a stitching application fails, because there is no information. We can't stitch blue and blue and blue, and of course it's the easiest way to cheat there as well, so bear with me, one or the other. But you get, I hope, on the way here ideas how to do this. And what I like to do is first of all to check out which size I have. Then what I always do, I use the photo filter, and that has nothing to do with the photo itself. It's the easiest way to change colors, change the intensity here, and get something that really makes the difference to the one on top. This is most of the time the step when I have to find maybe exactly the mask that I want to paint, because when everything is exactly as it should be, and I can't see where it is finally, if that would be here very nicely matched, then I don't know where I paint here at the moment my mask, because I can't see the mask and the picture at the same time. So sometimes that's a little bit difficult. Of course, now someone would tell me I could use here this option, but it's a little bit more tricky, and my way of doing that is exactly this way. So I switch this off here for a moment, and what we need here is of course an understanding what happens to the picture. And if you have watched my little introduction that I had in Cinema 4D, built up with the cylinder, with the sphere, and with the plane, you might know already that the distortion that these pictures have are all pretty similar, even if they don't match here to each other, because that's maybe more Photoshop or whatever. But normally when you have done your work nicely, not handmade, just with a panel head for example, then we have 30 degrees between all of these, no change in angle, no change in horizon, banking, tilting. That is then very nice, and it should have the same distortion because there's no reason that it hasn't. And so what we need here is an understanding of the distortion, and we need of course to rebuild this. And the simplest way is of course Command T to get here this free transform around, and then we can go here also to the wrap, or we have here this little icon that was already chosen by now. So we know we have here something that looks like a barrel. More it blows out. It's not something that goes to the inside or is small on the lower part and wide and pikey maybe on the top. So we can move this here a little bit in, and it needs always a little bit time until it follows. And now we have the problem, we can't really see where we are. We have to find the pattern that this one had. And I think we have nothing really here that matches. And so I go just ahead and do a little bit damage here to get something closer. Because we can see here already this top area and the lower area is smaller here than the one that I have just added, and they should have pretty much the same here. So I do this here just free-handish, and I move these guys here in. This is all trial and error at the moment, and I see here already the cable won't fit up, and I have to take a look here, a little spiky, and this gives of course the first little hint. We want to have something that matches up, and with the playing here around we get a little bit familiarity in the picture. Where it sits, we see here these little nose on that wood that should be on top of it, and then we take a look here, get familiar with that, so we know this leaf here, I recognize that is here. So just checking, and I pull it here to this side. And then I know already this is certainly straight or has a curve to the outside. This could be a little bit more inside. I see here similarities with the yellow ones. And I go slowly to this place here. So there we have something, and we can pull here even on that. So we get closer and closer and closer. So now comes the point where I think we have already found a good starting point. And then I go here normally to difference, and I can see how far I came already. So we can say we want to have something that matches here. So we have to go here a little bit down. This was my target point here. So then we can put this here up a little bit. And to be really familiar with the warp tool is of course a key element in getting fast with those stuff here. So at the moment I have to pull this here down. This was my key point here where I wanted to match it, and then I get this, gets darker, perfect. And then I go here a little bit down, and I see these twigs have to be here. And sometimes it's tricky when something fits. Maybe we have to pull here then, but then we destroy that in the middle. So the right place would be now here, and I see already that we have to move this a little bit. And you see it's more a trial and error, but the difference gives us here already a good indicator where we are. If we move to the right direction, if we go away from it, this seems a little bit to have a bow here inside, so I go that inside, and we go here as well. So this looks not very healthy here when you have an S-curve in it. So I hope that we get here something done with this and pull it. Maybe I have to pull this here up. That's exactly the case. So, and you see we come closer, and the target is of course not to go too crazy with it, because it only has to fit to a certain degree. And then we go to the next point, because everything moves here. So to make one point really perfect and then go to the next and destroy the work that we have just done is of course a little bit cumbersome. And so we go one time around and again. And the idea is of course to get familiar with this image more and more and more, and find maybe areas where we want finally to make our mask then when we are done. So that was a good one. It becomes darker here. Dark means of course we have no difference in it, and that is a good indicator. This is not where I want to be, maybe a little bit down. The pole gives me here a good direction, and this needs to go a little bit up. And you see, I can do this here now over hours if I want to go really crazy with that. But you get already the idea. It's a little bit tricky. It's back and forth, and I have to find here my little pin. So I want to have this nose, which I have used before. And there I see a little bit more. And we are getting very close. And it looked from the start a little bit more difficult, to be honest. I haven't tried this before. It's just an idea, and the first time it moves already nicely here along. So I stop here because I think I can do this now 10 minutes, and it's always a nice work. It's zen. It's really, really nice to do, of course. And here we go. So the next point is, of course, now to just say, I need the cable here, and I need this cable there. I have here a lot of high frequency stuff. I can cut into that. And here I think that's okay. That's okay. That could be a little bit down. And here I have to check. This looks nicer in this way. So I press now the return key to commit to this state here, to not bother you longer and tweak here my day away, because that's not the idea for a tutorial. And now we see here that we haven't matched the color. So we have to match here and here. This one is brighter, this one is brighter. That's a good sign. And sometimes we get away with maybe one at all, with one color correction. Sometimes we need 2 or 3 or more. But before I do this, I want to go here, of course, and create a mask. And the first thing that I do is, of course, to go here with a pencil, very rough. Again, just looking. There's no real dark area where we can say, yeah, that's the way, that's the point. So we go now with black, 100%, and pretty bright, pretty large. And we take here just some stuff away. So we get here a seam. I think here we can cut into, I wouldn't take this away. I want to cut here. It's like a surgery. And whatever has high frequency, I want to go there, because that's the point where we can't really see what we do. Or here, just a pole. That's always very nice to go in. And then here, these cables. And when I have everything double here, the question is, of course, why do I need to fit exactly to that position? And so I go here again, high frequency stuff, perfect, always nice. And pressing the X key, going to this twig, because I see I get a little bit thin here. And then I go already smaller, because I need here to do something. And I take maybe, yeah, that with the stick is not so perfect. And I get here already something that I believe might work. And that's the first step, even if it is not super perfect. But on the end, we have always a certain amount of time. And we want to get, of course, a result that fits to the perspective and not to each and every pixel. And it shouldn't have any double stuff here in it. So I soften here the edges a little bit. Maybe to make more progress, I go here more radical to work. And you get already here, I guess, as well the point. Normally I avoid to have straight lines. It's always a dead giveaway. It's even with very fine nuances in the tones a visible thing. So, and I go here back to normal, and it's pretty obviously where this part is. And to get a nicer, softer edge, I go here maybe to 50, to go one time here along, and here again. I see here the cables won't work really well, so I go here closer. And that's maybe up to you how detailed you work here. And I give up here for a moment. I could do this, of course, longer. And I like normally to have less opacity here and go more often over it. I really enjoy to have maybe sometimes only 3% in it and go 20 times over an area, and each time a little bit different, and that gives a very nice blend. And now you can see here on the right, it's even with that high difference in the colors, in the brightness, it's not so visible anymore. So what I want to do here now is I go back to difference. So, and then I take here a curve tool. I click on this little icon here to reduce the curve only to this layer, and I take here my little hand. And the easiest way is, of course, first to go here up and down to see when it gets really black, I'm more or less there. I take a look here, and then I go here out of the difference mode, and I'm looking for something that works already, not really on the right side. Let's try it here again, go a little bit darker. I have a color tint here, so what we can do, what I like normally, is to take this here and use only this as the luminance, and then I get no color rainbow here inside, and it looks already much better. I see here a little bit, and if that isn't working on both sides at the same time, we can take here, and I do this just to make progress, a black gradient maybe here, shift key to have it horizontally, and then I copy that, go on the mask, Command I to get the inverse function, and now I have for the left and the right side my very own adjustments, and this here looks a little bit not okay. I know already that will not work here, so I track this out. Less points is always more advisable, and I don't know if I go now here too high, yes, and too low, Command C, I think that's okay. And here I want to have it a little bit brighter, and that should be all. And here I have a little bit problem, and I can do this, of course, now here in the way that I maybe create a new one, just a mask, because in the moment I pull here too much, I change here something, so I need to go a bit darker here. A little bit more, and I think I'm there. And when you want to know exactly how to do this, even without looking into these hues and into the luminance too much, you can split, of course, the curves into luminance and into color, so you have two adjustments instead of one. And the easiest way to get this is, of course, something that I will show you in a new file. You might remember this file. We have one that has that green tint in it, and we have here maybe a gray. And now we can match one to the other. Of course, the green yellow one would be relatively simple, desaturate, and then just adjust the gray values. So I make it a little bit more difficult, and I want to have exactly this yellow green adjusted here to this gray one. And to do this, we can go here immediately to the difference, so we see already where we have our problems, and the darker it becomes, the more similarity is there, and it isn't, of course, because it's just all gray, and so we have always the opposite color when you take a look to the color wheel. And what we need here to do is, of course, to adjust everything with a curve. This curve should be only for the gray one, and we have to start with different colors here, of course. And to make that more visible, finally, we have to go here to levels. And levels gives me here now a huge pile, because I have set this here to difference. And difference, if everything is black, everything is the same from these two guys, and then we would have here only one line. That's the target. that we have all pixels from this levels here, mostly on the left side. Okay, so what I want to do here is, first of all, I go here to my curve tool, and then I go to channels. And this time I want to have only the blue channel. I start with that. So we have to take a look, where is now here a similarity, where is something different. And I go here to the curve, also to the blue one. Go to my little handy piece here, and maybe I start in the middle. So I go up, wrong. Go down, gets darker, perfect. So we want to have it darker, of course. And the first step is always the hardest, because everything is influenced. And I try here a little bit, gets brighter, gets darker. So this goes now brighter. So I put it down a little bit. And now in the middle we have here a little problem. And I do this, you know, pretty quick. So you could fix each little color chip here. I go to the next color, to green. Green. So I try my best here in the middle again, get brighter. So I know already I have to go up with the mouse, and pretty dark here. Cool. So go up here. That looks perfect already. So let's take the next one, and that is red here. Start in the middle. You can start wherever you want, but I like to start in the middle most of the time, not always, of course. And so I try here, go up, perfect. I have to go down here a little bit. It's the curve that influences each other, so it's always a little bit interaction here. I have to play here. This goes up, and this, and you see already I go only up and down until it gets darker, and I don't see any color here. Okay, so this looks here really, really interesting. And I go here back to RGB. You see here now what I have done. And I go back to RGB, and I switch off the levels, and I switch off the difference here, and go back to normal. And it's pretty similar for this quick mess up here. If I would invest maybe 2 or 3 minutes more, everything would match up here. And so now I have created here a curve to get the gray bar here, this one, exactly matching to the one that we have here above. Exactly is of course a little bit exaggerated, because we see here some differences, but you get the idea what we have to do. Just fishing for the dark stuff. And the levels helps you, of course, because anything that is squeezed here, when I move them together, then I can see the dark areas much better. And I show you that here again. When I go here to difference, of course, whoops, I switch on levels, and I move these tones here now more and more together, then I can see more where I have problems. And when I go here to my channels again, I see here exactly I have problems here. And when I stretch this again, I can't see that so well. So I have here even a brightness magnification, so to say. And the green one works in the same way. I have some problems here, and I have some problems here, 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 here with the red one. Okay, so you get the idea. The levels brings it really into front where we have to tweak more. And that's the whole trick, to have the levels as a brightness magnification, so to say. And then everything is fine. We have to go back here again to normal, and the color matches. And most of the time, when you spend a little bit time, it's really perfect. It's easy to do. It's a step-by-step procedure, and fine. Okay, that sums it up already. Everything needs a little bit more time than I want to pull from you. I hope I could share some ideas how to match things, where to put your eye and your attention to it, and then you get the shape and the color and maybe even the brightness in the best way. Thanks for listening. Have fun with it. Bye bye.